so shocking. Hey, it's Katie and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My appearance is usually not coming on camera with a face mask, but that's what we're doing for today. But be sure to subscribe. XOXO Beauty, lifestyle, and sometimes random videos. It's kind of an array of things over here on my channel. But today's video is going to be all about my favorite TV shows, movies, and mention some favorite authors, because I feel like I don't have a ton of specific books that I like. And I'm also going to mention some favorite podcasts that you can listen to. I know we're all like basically quarantined to our house right now and stuff, and I've been filming a lot, so for me it hasn't really seemed like I haven't really binged that many things, but I am a TV lover, so there's a ton of shows that I just am obsessed with and stuff, and primarily most of these are on Netflix. I know a lot of people do have Netflix and stuff, but I am going to mention a few different movies I really like and stuff. And yeah, I'm really excited about this. So yeah, let's just get right into it. And by the way, the mask I have on my face right now is the Cocoa Clear Mud Mask. I actually just finished this up, so you'll see this in the next Empties video, but probably the one after that, because I still have to edit my Empties video that I filmed like a couple days ago. But yeah, so we're starting off with TV shows. There's just so many TV shows that I love. As many of you know, I am a TV addict. I literally watch so many shows. So the first one is 911 Lone Star. You'll hear me talk about that in an upcoming current favorites video. But yes, 911 Lone Star is so good. It has an amazing cast and everything, like seriously phenomenal. Rob Lowe is like the main dude, but basically 911 Lone Star is a spin-off of the TV show 911, which I also recommend. But 911 Lone Star is set in Texas, but actually originally they are in New York City, because the main character, Owen Strand, and his son are in New York, and firefighters from Texas come up to New York and be like, hey, we know you rebuilt your firehouse after 9/11 when you lost your team. We'd love for you to do the same thing in Texas. And so yes, it is a firefighter drama action type show, but I do think this one is very funny. It definitely has that action and drama that you love, but it also has comedic stands of it and stuff, and you get to see everything you pretty much like to see in a TV show. It is centered around Owen Strand, Rob Lowe's character, but you also get to see all the other characters with their struggles and what they're dealing with and stuff. So Owen and his son end up going down to Texas, and they kind of rebuild the station. It kind of doesn't always go the perfect way, but they kind of build a life down there, and you kind of see even romance and stuff, and just such a good show, and I definitely would recommend it. It's so good. It's ended its first season a couple weeks ago, and it's just so good. Next one is New Amsterdam. Now, if you're into medical shows, I'd also recommend this one. I don't think it's like super intense. Like, yes, they do sometimes talk about heavy topics, but it's never too much, because they do have like almost a comedic lightheartedness to it sometimes as well. So I really like that about this show. But it's basically like almost testing like medical stuff. Like what goes on in the medical world. It's kind of almost testing that. And so basically it's about a medical director who kind of comes in, and he's like, well, if you're overbilling, you're doing this, you're doing that, then you don't have a job anymore. He fires them and stuff, and it's just insane. And he's just trying to build a hospital that actually puts the patients first rather than just the other side of things, and it's just very interesting. Then it's third season, but I believe all of it is on Hulu. Lone Star, you can also watch season 1 on Hulu, and they only have a season 1, so you can start from the start and stuff, and it's just so good. And there is a little twist with Max in the first season, and you kind of see how that unravels. It was just such a good show. Next is Blue Bloods. Now this is like a cop type show, but it's very like lighthearted. There's that action, there is drama in it, but it is probably the most lighthearted cop show out there. Like, it's nothing like SVU or anything. Like, it's not that dramatic and stuff. Like, does have drama to it, but it is super lighthearted and has a family aspect to it. I think I've talked about Bluebloods on my channel before, but I really like Bluebloods. It's such a good show. The reruns are always on, but all the seasons except for the current one are on Hulu and stuff, and it used to be on Netflix. Why'd you have to take it off? That's rude. But also I believe it might also be on Amazon Prime Video, so be sure to check it out. But it is just so good. The next one is such a weird show, but I think it's definitely something if you want to take your mind off things, and that's Glitch. Glitch is so weird. Glitch is like basically a show where these people just like resurrect, like start crawling out of the ground, and it sounds super weird and kind of creepy when I'm saying it, but it honestly is so good. Like it's basically all these people that get resurrected, and this cop kind of witnesses it all, and then the cop wife was one of the people that resurrected from the ground, which is insane. And there's just so much to it, and it's not that long of seasons. I believe each season might even only have like 6 or 8 episodes. There's only a few seasons and stuff. It's an Australian show, so I think it airs normally there and then it comes on Netflix here. I have no idea, but it's just so good, and I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just so good. Next is The Night Shift, another medical show. This one is basically just about life on the night shift. That's how I describe it. It's basically about these doctors who work the night shift. This one is a medical drama, and it is dramatic, but it also is more lighthearted and funny. The doctors, especially the ones that are newer, kind of play pranks on each other, so that's funny. And you just see like the relationships between the characters. You see how like the night shift is a family, and it's just such a good show. Love that show. All the seasons are on Netflix, and I wish it was still on because it was such a good show. It has like 4 seasons, so there's definitely a lot to watch there with that one. Next is Superstar. I know I actually forgot to mention this, but I got inspired to do this video from Jessica Braun. Then I saw Kelly did it the next day, but I was already going to do it at this point, and actually kind of thought about doing this before Jessica even posted her video, so I'll link their videos down below if you want more shows to watch. They kind of mentioned more lighthearted shows for the most part, so I definitely recommend. But they both mentioned Superstore, and Superstore is just so good. I remember always seeing about it online, and I was like, oh my god, that looks so good. And first of all, I love America for her. She's just like, I love her. Like, The Sisterhood of Traveling Pants was like my growing up, you know what I mean? Like, I just loved those growing up. And Superstore is just so good. It's basically like about a big box store, and it's very funny, and if you like office type dramas, kind of like The Office, which I've never seen, I just can't, and stuff like that, you would really like it. But it's just about, you know, the big box store, and just it's a comedy. It's very lighthearted, so if you need something to just take your mind off whatever, it's a great one to watch. So next is Gilmore Girls. I remember watching this, I believe I don't know, before I transferred schools. I remember binging this, and I really liked it. And it's one of the shows I can just turn on at any moment, any season, and I'm just like, I love it. I definitely want to do another Gilmore Girls binge because it is so good. It's so funny, so lighthearted, and I just really like it and stuff. And it's just so good. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just so good. It's basically about a mother and daughter and kind of their relationship, and then they kind of reconnect with the grandparents. You kind of see that. I definitely would recommend. Next is Jane the Virgin. This one, when it came out, I think a lot of people were like, what the heck is this? But it's so good. It's so funny. And this one has since ended. It actually ended last year, I believe it was. I believe it was last year. And it's just so good. It's so funny and stuff. And it's definitely a weird show, but it's so good. And it just keeps you entertained. This one is about Jane, who is a virgin, and basically she gets artificially inseminated, like accidentally, and then so you kind of see that unravel and how that affects her life. The narrative show is so funny. Everything about the show is so funny, and as the seasons go on, there's like mystery to it. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's so good, and her parents are so funny in it. It's just such a good show. I would definitely recommend. Next is another medical one, is Private Practice. If you like Grey's, you'll definitely like this show. And that was actually more of my favorite than Grace, but basically Addison, that was on Grace, moves to LA where her friends had a private practice, and so yeah, she kind of practices in there, and then Amelia from Grace comes in. I think it's season 3 or 4 in the practice she joins and stuff, and it's just such a good show because it's about like all these doctors that kind of work together and kind of incorporate kind of like, I don't know what they call it, but like cooperative medicine, I guess. And it's super, like, this show, like, yes, it is a drama, but it is like lighthearted at times and stuff. Like, it's not always like super dramatic. Like, sometimes there are like funny parts of it, and it's just the stories like are just so real. I feel like that gets me connected. Personally, for me, I'm more into shows that like have a storyline, tell a story, and go a certain way. Like, I just really like that. I like kind of diving into the story, feeling like I'm in the story kind of shows. Like, I just really enjoy feeling like that way. So that's kind of how I feel with my shows, but that one is so good. Next is The Fosters. This one's on Netflix as well. The series ended a few years ago, and it's basically about 2 moms and their biological son, and then all their foster kids, and it's kind of about their lives. It is kind of dramatic, but there's also funny parts in it. It's kind of about their lives and stuff like that, and yeah, there are some heavy topics in it, and there are like things that are heavier that happen, but it is a very good show, and I definitely would recommend it. It does remind you of a family, and it's just such a good show. Also, Good Trouble just recently came out, and that's more the adult version of The Fosters, and but it is so good, and I would say you can watch it anywhere from like 16 on. It is so good, and it's more adult. Things they talked about seem more adult and stuff, being that the people watch The Fosters, me, were growing up when they were watching it, and now they're adults. I think that's why they went that route. And also Freeform is just changing its content and shows that are on it, and it's just funny and just different things. And it's about the 2 sisters in The Fosters and stuff. They kind of move their lives to LA to kind of go into the workforce and stuff like that, and it shows their adventures, the challenges, the living situation. It's so good. That one, I believe, is probably on Hulu. It's had a few seasons, so I'm not sure if the whole thing's on Hulu, but you might be able to catch it on the Freeform app. Next is Party of Five, the old and the new. Now, I'm not sure how you get the old, because it used to be on Netflix, and I loved it. I've rewatched that series so many times and stuff. The Party of Five is basically, the original is about these parents, they die in a car accident, so their oldest son has to take care of the family, and shows their challenges and stuff. And it's pretty much, I would consider it a drama, but it is not super heavy. It's more lighthearted, and obviously it deals with death and stuff like that, but other than that, I think it's pretty like lighthearted and funny. But also, I don't know how you'd watch that, but if you can get your hands on it, I would definitely recommend it. And then the new Party 5 is on Hulu, so you can check that out. Just had its first season, and this one, instead of the parents dying, they are deported, so their older sons are taking care of the kids and stuff like that. And it's definitely up on the times of today and what is happening in the world today, and it's super interesting, and I do really enjoy it. Next is Full House, which I know the whole series is on Hulu, and I haven't done a Full House rewatch in a while. I always just watch the episodes on, like, growing up I always watched it and stuff, because it ended I think when I was born, but growing up I remember watching it all the time. I always like it. It's very like lighthearted, which I like. If you're looking for like something very lighthearted, I would definitely recommend this one. It basically has to do with the dad raising all these girls and stuff like that, and kind of his brother-in-law and his friend help him, and they kind of raise all these girls together, and it shows their life and stuff like that, and just so good. And then Fuller House is the, I guess, revival show, spin-off, whatever you want to call it, and that is also very good. I know a lot of people give it shit because like it's never going to be as good as Full House, for real, but I really like it, and I still think it has like other original aspects of Full House. That's it for TV shows. I guess that was a decent bit, and there's definitely other shows that I like and stuff like that, but I think Jessica mentioned a couple of those shows that I would have mentioned anyways, and I could always do another one of these videos in the future. But I'm gonna mention a few movies. I don't have too many just because I couldn't think of too many off my head. I definitely think reading your own movie collections at home, do people still have like DVD collections? Because I know I do. That would definitely be fun to watch movies you haven't watched watched it in years. I know my mom and I, well, I've never seen Mrs. Doubtfire. I know, shocking. But my mom and I are gonna watch that because I've never seen it, and she's like, you need to? Like, what the heck is wrong with you? Why? You literally aren't cultured because I haven't shown you this movie when you were growing up. And I'm like, yeah, we know who's to blame. The first movie I actually was just on Netflix, and I realized this is on there, and we own this, I'm pretty sure, but it's Life as We Know It, which is starring Katherine Heigl, and it is such a great movie. Basically, if you want to, I used to, like, growing up, I remember watching Katherine Heigl movies, like, they were always on for whatever reason. Like, I remember loving 27 Dresses. That's all I can think of on the top of my head, but I remember loving that one. But Life as We Know It, as I said, is starring Katherine Heigl, and it's basically about these parents who die in a car accident, and in their will, they name her character, Katherine Heigl's character, and so it's like basically the mom's best friend and then the dad's best friend as the guardians and stuff. So they kind of have to figure out how to raise this child together and how they're gonna go about life and that kind of stuff. And it kind of almost becomes a love story. It's a really good movie, and it actually is on Netflix. I would definitely recommend that. Next one is Safe Haven. It was on Netflix at one time, but I'm not really sure if it is anymore, you know, in editing. And I really like this movie. It's basically about a woman who basically needs to escape her abused life, which seems very heavy, and it can be, I guess, if you're triggered to stuff like that, it might be triggering, but it honestly isn't about that anymore at all. It is more about like the love story where she meets, like, at this little cute little shop, she meets like this little girl, and she kind of falls in love with her dad, and they kind of had like this interesting love story. You also see friendships which are interesting, and it's just such a good movie, and I definitely recommend it. It's like one of my favorites. Like, literally, I've seen this movie so many times. It's like my fave. There's also like so many other movies I remember always loving. Like, I always love the Princess Diary movies, and they're making a Princess Diaries 3, and I need that now. So I've always loved Anne Hathaway movies and stuff. A good old Lifetime movie is always good in times like this. Those are so terrible that they're honestly so like great to watch in times like this. But podcasts, I really only listen to a few, so I'm just gonna mention those real quick. But I really like Zane and Heath Unfiltered. They also do a video version, so I'm gonna link it down below. Love that and stuff. They really just talk about all sorts of things, and it's very lighthearted and comedic. They're so funny. I really like their podcast. Also love A Girl and the Mother-in-Law from Alyssa Rose and her mother-in-law. Really good. They talk about more, I would say, R-rated topics and stuff, but it is still a great podcast, and they do give advice, and sometimes that can be like a little much and stuff like that, just because like it's just all they talk about in an episode. But I think in the recent episodes they've done a good job of balancing. I also know if you need something that is more therapeutic, Soul and Sugar by Carrie Rad is a really good podcast and stuff like that. And yeah, those are pretty much favorite podcasts. Authors, I really like autobiographies and stuff. I haven't read one in a while, but I do like those. But my favorite authors as of recently are David Bell. I read one of his books, I think 1 or 2 summers ago, and then I also really like Jodi Picoult. She's like one of my favorite authors. I've read a ton of her books and stuff, especially in high school. I read a lot of her books for like rereading and stuff like that. It's just my thing. And yeah, those are all the things that I can think of, but it's having a little puppy dream in the background that I feel like mentioning, and the ones that I feel like I really love and I love watching during times like this. But yeah, like I said, Jessica Braun and Kelly Cooch did also do videos like this, so I'll link theirs down below so you can check those out and stuff. And I'm gonna go wash up this face mask, so I hope you enjoyed my suggestions. If you have any ones down below that you want to share, let me know, just so we can kind of create just a bunch of suggestions for people down below to watch during this quarantine time. It's definitely insane, so we need that. Yeah, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to post at least twice a week, maybe even more. We'll see about that, but I post beauty and lifestyle videos. I don't always come on in a face mask and stuff like that. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye.